There's a terrible parallel to the very opening of this conversation, that the country's based on the model of resource extraction. You take the wood, you take the minerals, you take the fish, and you leave and you make money. And we sort of, the really destructive part of the storytelling tradition in this country and in North America is we take people's stories and we turn them into movies. We can make a lot of money, and we walk away and we buy yachts in Bermuda with our money. So it's extraction. So you can understand why a community says, before you extract either the fish or the wood or the stories, we have to give you permission. And I don't know how we in white Canada can, or America, can break that hold that it has on us, especially when Marvel Comic Universe says, oh no, we're inclusive, we're going to have a black superhero, and we're going to have a woman superhero, and we're going to have an Indigenous superhero. You go, well, yeah, but it's the same extractive idea that I'll extract the stories to make my profit and leave you.
Well, that was the biggest challenge when I first started the project, was even though I'm in Tlakatmuk, at the first day of the gathering, I had somebody who then eventually became, again, a very integral part of the ensemble that we built. First thing she said to me, what do you mean you're going to tell our stories? Right? My people, they don't mess around, right? Like they're very direct, and so they're going to tell you to your face. And so that's the importance of reaching back to the community and say, can we do this work? Let's have this conversation, having that dialogue. Because if I just did it, then that sentiment would persist. But what I needed to do was to have their buy-in, their agreement, their consensus on moving forward with it in a good way.
Meaning they had to trust Kevin or learn about Kevin, that he was not going to...
Even though I'm in Tlakatmuk.
Yeah.
Right? At the end of the end of the journey, not even the end because we're still doing that work, but we had Jimmy Tudlikin. Jimmy Tudlikin is an elder who, when they were taking kids to St. George's Residential School, his family took him and hid him in a cabin in the bush, way up in the mountains. And they left him with his uncle, who downloaded the culture and everything into him. And people from all over the nation, elders, would come and share stories and teachings to that kid. While everybody was being taken to residential school, they saved him. He doesn't know how to write. He's passed on now. He didn't know how to write and didn't really speak English until later on. But he was given the cultural jewels of our people.
What was his name?
Jimmy Tudlikin. And so he was present for that thing too. And he was our storyteller. He knew all the stories. And so he would tell the stories in the language, in Tlakatmuk'Shin. And he, when as this process evolved, we did a version, we did this play called Battle of the Birds, which is an ancient story about domestic violence, essentially, and power abuse. It's about how a bald eagle got his white head. It's because he was abusive to his wife, and the bird nation protected the wife, brought it to his brother's place, Golden Eagle's house. Bald eagle comes looking for her. He wasn't bald at the time, he had brown feathers. And challenges all the bird nation to one-on-one duel, one by one, to get his wife back. Challenges them all. And he kills them all, cuts their heads off as they come out to attack him. Until even his brother, Golden Eagle, he kills his brother. And then except for this one little red hawk, who the eagle's wife blesses by brushing his hair. This time before time, animals have both human and animal attributes. So it gets it's a bit dually and confused, or blended. Anyway, so Red Hawk is blessed by the eagle's wife and outsmarts him and defeats him and sings a song and reattaches all their heads and heals the community and humbles Bald Eagle by leaving his head white, like a ghost, like it's not there, to remind him to be respectful to his wife. So that's the story. He's told that story in the language. We then interpreted it into English, and then also blended in the language as well in the storytelling. We presented that in the community with this community ensemble group, little babes, literally kids in harnesses, to great grandmas. We built the costumes out of cardboard. And we presented that in the community, and then we also got invited down to the Talking Stick Festival, presented it in a theater. And it was in the theater that Jimmy Toodlikin turned to me and he said, "Now you're the storyteller." He passed that on because he saw that we were bringing these stories out of the box that they had been kept in because, you know, for the longest time, he was the container of those stories. Other than the white people who had come in and recorded them in English and then sold books.
The little boy who was taken by his parents and taken to a cabin up in the mountains because they didn't want him to go to school, and then he was fed in the stories from the culture.
Yeah, he was like our encyclopedia. And then he was, at that point, he was an old man, right? And he passed on a few years ago. But very blessed with that, with his presence and with all that he's given us.